meditation, and we're going to talk about some inspiration. If it's not one of the three, I don't want it. We're going to start getting down with our challenges. We're going to get ourselves in a place. We're going to utilize the ability to understand that you are always in control, my Most High God, focusing on the ability to use your challenges, to use your embrace, to use your ability inside, your mentality, your ability to focus towards that point that you allow the things that are not meant for us to move out of the way on their own. And so I'm going to go freestyle. I'm going to go ahead and let this out. I'm going to go ahead and let this grow. I'm going to let this be a part of what it is. And so how do we start getting down with ourselves? How do we start to grind? How do we start to use what's on paper to our advantage? How do we start to put ourselves in a place? Oh, when you start to recognize that what you're doing, you start to recognize the people around you, you start to recognize the things that you're going through, and you start to ask yourself, are these positive things? Are these things bringing me in a positive direction? Are they bringing me in such a way that I could see past good and bad? My Most High God, I love you. Okay, with a care. I care about you. I know that you're a part, that you take control. Okay, so when we focus to that point where we put ourselves in that kind of place where the Most High God has the ability to work through us, has the ability to work with us, and it actually shows. Okay, so when you see how you're treating other people, you see how other people are reacting. You see how what you're seeking after. Let me tell you one thing, okay? There's two things that matter to me. First one is the Most High God. Second one is self-love. And after that comes everything else. And how do you put yourself in that place? How do you put yourself where you are selfless? Where you put something else in front of yourself? Where you put your mentality in such a way? Where you put your ability in such a way? Where your challenges don't even have the ability to stop you anymore? Oh, if you think it stops me, no. The ability to get to that level of grind, that ability inside of oneself, that ability inside of one's mentality, the ability to be power beyond measure. What are we talking about today? What are we talking about with ourselves? What are we looking at? And if we are treating other people that way, if we're treating other people in that direction, if we're not looking at how we could see the positive in this, if we can't see the positive within ourselves, if we can't see the positive in our abilities, how can we allow other people to vibrate around us? Oh, this star shines bright. This star shines so bright that the light inside burns. That light inside shines so bright that it burns to the point where you recognize, you can feel the burn. So if you want to be in this direction, I give the wheel to you, God. I give the wheel to you, and I tell you that you take control. I tell I give the wheel to you, and I recognize that you do those things, that you can do all things, that you can be all things, that you can utilize who you are on the inside. When you put yourself in a place where you are in alignment with your universe, when you are in alignment with your being, where you're in alignment with your mentality. And so how do we start to give that to you? How do we start to use your gifts? How do we start to use your talents? How do we start to use your skills? And so I start to ask, you created a universe in such a way, that other people in our lives are brought towards us. Because guess what? If they leave, that's them that's losing the gift. That's them that's losing the ability inside of ourselves. And when we look at ourselves, when we look at our ability, we look at our mentality. Ooh, what is grinding inside of you? What does it take for you to be you? And that takes it and puts it in your hands. And you see your universe, you work. You use cosmic forces as well as positive and negative forces in the universe to delay your messages. Oh, I see it. I see that challenge. I see that ability. I see you first, God. And when we do that, when we put you first, when we put you into our ability, when we become a tool in the universe, when we know that this world is created by you, and it is for us to serve you, my Most High. And we recognize at that level where we go beyond our challenges, when we start to see that, when we allow that to happen, we destroy the things that aren't meant for us. They have no place to go. They only leave our lives. So I'm in peace. I'm in a place of understanding. I'm in a place of being. I'm in a place of reflection. And oh, that's so great. That's a peace. It's a liberation. And so if you ain't seen this thing as how focused, how attractive this thing is, then you might want to go take a look at the Most High and ask Him. Because you know what? When I focus, when I put something to the wheel, when I put it down, yeah, you know you know that I'm bad. You know that I'm bad to the bone. I'm positive beyond force. That when you see things and you're doing things and you're going through things that aren't bringing you closer to your goals, they're not bringing you closer to your dreams, they're not bringing you closer to your ability, that you are disabling your mind, that you are disabling your mentality, that you are disabling your ability to focus in such a way that the universe starts to use and twist through you. Oh, I see this law of 90s working within us. I see this law of 90s that the gold within us radiates. I see that this gold inside radiates to the point where other people seek it, where other people want it. And I tell you, this thing right here, this thing is freaking bad. I'm telling you, bad to the bone. Like, you're going to wish you had this. You're going to wish that you were with this. You're going to wish that what you were doing to yourself didn't happen, because when you see the positivity coming out of this force, when you see the positivity in this being, in this universe, it doesn't end. You see, the thing is, when you bring yourself towards a place of positivity, darkness leaves. When you bring yourself towards a place of positivity, the ability inside of yourself opens up. The ability to put the Most High God first. And you see, this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how all these challenges, all these things are embraced. But you know what? I give them to you. Can I get an amen on that? Can I get a place inside? Can I get a place of worship you, God? And I recognize that that's what it takes. It takes you. It takes determination. It takes, I see expansion coming. I see expansion in this speaking career. I see expansion in this ability. I see expansion in this place of focus and knowledge. And you don't know what you had. You don't know what you had. Because you know what? If you did, you wouldn't even let it go. Because this thing right here is hot. This thing is so hot, the focus within goes beyond. This focus within goes to the place of mentality, where ability lives. That's right. By being around me, you're enabled. By being around me, you're achieving. By being around me, you're seeing. By being around me, you're becoming clear. And so you want to block yourself. You want to throw yourself under the bus. Go for it. Because you know what? This thing is hot. I'm talking about motivation. I'm talking about you seeing me as a reflection of motivation, that you know you can't stop. You can't stop listening to these messages. You got to subscribe to my networks, get connected in such a way, watch my videos on a daily, because you know I grind, because you know that I'm not set up for just a one-day paycheck, okay? That the Most High God will power this thing. The Most High God has worked through this thing, that through the generations this has come, that through the generations they are fighting, and through the generations, and I have binds beyond this earth, okay, that are so powerful that even they sit on my shoulder. So I'm focused to the point where I utilize that. That's right, we did an exchange. That's right, we did an exchange of guardian angels. That's right, we got people on the other side fighting so bad they are, so awesome, in such a way that they focus to the point where they see that I'm cutting through this like the universe, like a knife. If you want to be a part of this team, if you want to be with this, if you want to be able to bypass those challenges for yourself, listen to what I'm saying. Focus to that point where you're using what you have inside. Focus to that point where you allow the challenges to become overcome. And if there's a reason why something moved out of your way, if something moved out of your way in such a way that you decided it was negative, don't go back and chase after it again. Don't go chase after the past, is what I'm talking about. Don't go chase after the addictions. Chase after the Most High God. Because when you do that, when you put yourself in that place, when you put yourself in that ability inside of who you are, it gives you a certain type of ability. It starts to give you a certain type of challenges. It starts to give you a certain type of mentality. And it's when you enable that mentality is that the Most High God uses you as a tool. And I'm telling you, if you start to put yourself in a place where that mentality starts to open up, if you start to put that in such a way that mentality starts to become an ability, if you start to put that in such a way that your level of focus within yourself starts to open up. That's right, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how we utilize this thing called our life force, okay? This thing called our mentality, this thing called our ability, this thing called our being. And when we vibrate at that level, when we vibrate at that mentality, when we use that kind of ability. See, people start to recognize it. They start to put themselves in such a way that they start to focus through their challenges. They start to focus to the point where they get through what they're going through. And so are we focusing to that level? Are we giving ourselves that ability? And it's inside of that we start to see positively. It's in that we start to have a positive force in the universe working on our side. It's in that we start to see that the ability to use our mentality has a reason. You're not created the way you were for no reason. You weren't brought to this earth and had the ability to breathe your breath for no reason. And I know my worth. I know my ability. I know my challenges are there to be embraced. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a one-on-one connection with the Most High God. I'm talking about blessings coming through you. I'm talking about the ability inside of you opening up. I'm talking about the ability inside of you finding the person that you are inside. And are you focusing to that point? Are you giving yourself that place to have that kind of mentality? Oh, I see those things, and you know what? I see the most? That this person, this being, is destined for greatness. Do you see that for yourself? Do you see that inside of yourself? Because the only person that's got to believe in you is you. A lot of people are going to stick fingers in your face. They're going to tell you can't do it a certain way. You can't be a certain type of person. It's when you decide that things are positive in your life. And once you've turned and decided that they're negative, let them go. Let them move out of their way on their own. Let them have their place. Let them have their time. Let them have their level of mentality. So we start to grind at that level. We start to find that page. We start to find that ability. We start to find that growth. And you want to cut yourself out? Go for it. Start to see what challenges are going to start opening up to you. Go for it. Start to see what things are happening inside of you. Start to recognize, okay, you'll start to see the vibration on what you want. You'll start to see the vibration on what you bring. Because I can tell you, bring it. Because in the mentality is what it takes. In the mentality is where it goes. In the mentality is where it vibrates. And so we focus to that point where we allow those type of things to open up ourselves. What are we seeking after? What are we wanting to achieve? What is it that you want to do? What is it that you want to become? Is this thing going to bring you closer to your ultimate goals? Is it going to bring you closer to your ultimate abilities? Is it going to bring you closer to your ultimate mentality? And so are we on that page? Are we in that place? Are we going through those challenges? Are we giving ourselves that ability? Are we giving ourselves that level of mentality? And it takes one who focuses beyond their challenges. It takes one who focuses to the point where you're focused beyond focus. See, that's the thing that not a lot of people get. Getting to the point where they are focused beyond focus, where they see it crystal clear. They see it on such a level that you can't even see. And that's where we start to go. You know, I ask myself, what am I grinding for? What am I doing? Where am I going? And I see my path in front of me. I don't see just a single thing happening. I see multiple things happening at one time. I see Periscope, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I see motivational speaking. I see the ability to teach meditation. I see the inspiration coming out. What are you focused into? What is it that you're going to achieve? What is it that you're going to become? How are you going to utilize your mentality? How are you going to utilize your ability? How are you going to get to the point where the challenges no longer have the ability to stop you? And so are we focusing to that level? Are we putting ourselves in that place where other people start seeking you out, where they start seeking your abilities, they start to seek your mentality? And if we start to see ourselves in that kind of lights, if we start to see ourselves in that kind of ability, if we start to see ourselves in that kind of mentality, then what we're looking at is within ourselves. And that's where self-joy builds. My friends, when you're at that level of joy, where that ability inside of you starts to open up, where that ability inside of you starts to become, where that level of ability inside of you starts to overcome, And so, how do we get through those kind of challenges? We got to put ourselves on a page where we start to study to that level. We start to put it in front of ourselves, and we start to give the mentality to that. We start to give the mentality to that person that we are inside. We start to give the mentality to that ability to be ourselves, to start to have that kind of ability within who you are. Are you enabling your future? Are you enabling your being? Are you allowing yourself to move in a direction that's bringing you closer to yourself? And yeah, sometimes those knives cut deep. Sometimes they cut so sharp. Sometimes they hit so on point that it's unignorable. You might get that from your little ones. You might get that from your family. You might get that from your friends. But what you have to look inside is what is positive. Are you pushing positivity out of the way, or are you bringing it closer to yourself? Are you bringing it closer to your mentality? Are you bringing it closer to your ability within who you are? And I see that place where we get to the points where we focus through the challenges, where we start to see that and start to know that. And I know that I'm a gift. I know that you're a gift, but you got to see your gifts inside of yourselves. You got to see it for yourself. You got to see that you can do things, you can achieve things that nobody else would, that you can overcome your addictions, that you can overcome your pains, that you can overcome your challenges when you're able to focus to that level. When you're able to focus to that ability, when you're able to sit down at a point where you start to overcome things that stopped generations before you. And so if you haven't learned that lesson, if you haven't found that page where you're focusing to that place where you get to that point where you're only going to start embracing things that are going to bring you towards positivity, and you want to stick in these places where you're not growing, where you're not succeeding, where you're not becoming, that's what you're going to get. You see, this thing is destined for greatness. This thing is destined through generations. This has been happening. Through generations, this has been building. And it's on a level of focus. It's on a level of knowledge. It's on a level of being where the vibration you can see, where the vibration you want, where the vibration is there for you. And so are we focusing to that point? Are we giving ourselves that place? Are we getting to that level where we manifest, where we become the light in this universe? You are a light. Do you shine? Are you a star amongst stars? Are you a light within this? Are you a flower amongst flowers? Are you a being within beings? What separates you? What sets you aside so much that I should pick you over others? What separates you so much that you want to become a light in this universe, that you want to become a being in this universe, that you want to become a vibration within this vibration? Ask yourself those types of questions. How are you studying? How are you putting yourself in such a way? How are you vibrating? What are you vibrating into? What are you vibrating on? And so how do we get to that place where we're using that level, where we're using that being, where we're using that level of focus? And how are we getting to the point where we give ourselves that ability, where we get to that place where we utilize that level of mentality, where we utilize that level of focus, where it opens up the universe? Yes, the Most High God made this universe. Yes, the ability to use this universe is important. Yes, the ability to understand the tools that we have inside and to give Him the wheel. When we focus to that level where we are not in wanting and control, when we're focused to that place of mentality where we utilize that ability inside of ourselves, where we utilize that ability inside of who we are, where we utilize that ability inside of our mentality, where we utilize that ability inside of our being. So how do we focus to that point where we use that part of ourselves, where we use that part of our understanding, where we utilize that part of who we are? And so are we focusing to that point where we're going beyond the challenges, where we're utilizing them in such a way that we give the ability to have a mentality? And so, yeah, this is 100. Yes, we focus to that point. Yes, we get through. We get through these challenges that we face off against on a daily basis. and it has to deal with what you focus on, what you use your knowledge into, and how disciplined you are. See, isn't it written that the creator of this universe is Omega? Isn't it written that the creator of the universe uses knowledge? Isn't it written that in the beginning the light was divided from the darkness, or the darkness was divided from the light? Nah. See, the darkness was divided from the light, and then the choice was made. Okay, so I can go all the way back throughout time and prove this. I can prove this biblically, that they talk about reflections biblically, that they talk about abilities biblically, they talk about challenges. There's seers in the biblical. There's an ability to understand these type of challenges, to overcome these type of things, to get to this place inside of who you are. And see, I was sleeping in my van. I was on that page where we're focusing to that point, where we're putting ourselves in that ability, where we're putting ourselves in that mentality, where we're putting ourselves that ability inside of ourselves to overcome our challenges. See, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what we utilize, what we put ourselves through, what we put ourselves on. What is it that you're vibrating through? And see, we focus to that point where we use what we have. We focus to that point where we put our mentality. Right now I'm grinding, so I really can't open up chat so much to talk to people. I got about another 38 minutes to go. So I would love to talk, but I got to finish my video. So a lot of people want to get in there. They want to get on it. They want to focus through it. Right now is that time. I'm opening up. I'm giving that wheel to God. I'm giving that mentality to the being who owns this universe. And I'm telling you, when you let that happen, I can tell you gold comes your way. I can tell you that your ability inside of who you are opens up. And so you can reach out to me through Messenger or something like that. In the link there is the actual place where you can go to my Facebook. But with all due respect, I got to finish my video, okay? So this thing is going to be the mentality inside of who we are, the mentality inside of our ability. And so, are we focusing to that point? Are we using that ability inside of who we are? Are we using that ability inside of our mentality? Are we utilizing that ability inside of our being? And so are we focusing to that point where the universe yields, where the universe becomes, where the universe vibrates? And so how do we focus to that point where this thing happens, where this thing goes down, where this thing opens up? So we focus to that point, we focus to that place, we give ourselves that ability. Where we focus through the challenges, where we get ourselves to the point where we're utilizing what we have inside of who we are. And so if we're focusing through the challenges to get to the place where we're going through these type of things, where we're going through these type of vibration, where we're going through these type of mentality. And so are we focusing to that point where we're utilizing that ability inside of ourselves? Are we focused to that point where we're utilizing that mentality inside of ourselves? Are we focused to the point where our vibrations open up? All right, I guess I gotta go for now, but I'll be back. Blessings and